Welcome to Stories Without Borders, the podcast. I'm your host, Holland. Here we interview people who use the power of stories in service to promote connection, empathy, and understanding around the world. You can learn more online at storieswithoutborders.org or follow us on Instagram and YouTube at stories_without-borders. Thanks for listening. Here's today's episode. Today, we are speaking with Nydia Armendia-Sánchez. Nydia is a children's book author based in California. Her picture books include Not Far From Here, Frida Kahlo's Flower Crown, and also the forthcoming The Woman Before Us, Weaving Stories in My Huipil, and Vroom Vroom Vamonos from School Bus to Chicken Bus. Nydia was awarded the Sustainable Arts Foundation Illustrated Children's Book Award and named a finalist for the We Need Diverse Books Walter Grant. Her storytelling is inspired by her Guatemalan and Basque roots as well as her children. Nydia strives for inclusivity and diversity in all of her creative endeavors. So welcome, Nydia. Thank you so much for coming onto the podcast. I'm so excited to have you.
Thank you, Holland, for having me. It's a pleasure.
So why don't we just dive right in? I'd love to get into your work and introduce it to our audience. And I've heard you speak before about having many different careers before you realized you want to be a writer. So I'd love to start off by asking about, your author origin story, specifically what made you decide to be a writer?
So I think that's kind of a twofold catalyst that occurred. One being that I had small kids at the time, ages 8 and 4, and when I started to look for books in the bookstore and library, I wasn't finding books that related to our heritage. And so that prompted me to just kind of write stories for them for fun.
That's awesome.
And then the other thing that kind of happened simultaneously was I was just shy of my 40th birthday, and I hadn't found that thing that brought me joy.
Right.
When I was younger, I always thought I'd be an artist. And when I started college, that was the path that I was on. I was majoring in art. Unfortunately, I had a professor who discouraged me just a little bit. Unfortunately, I listened, which I shouldn't have. I should have said, this is my passion. This is what I want to do. And I'm going to keep going and push through. But it changed my path. And so I just ended up majoring in Spanish and did kind of all these different careers from, teaching to selling bridal gowns and doing like sales, which was not where my heart was at. So when I had my kids and then again, just kind of coming on that big milestone birthday, I was like, I have to figure out what it is that would bring me joy. And when I started writing for them, I just thought to myself, is this something that I could do professionally? And sort of dove into the process of figuring out what it takes to become a children's author.
That's amazing. And so your debut book, Not Far From Here, is such a beautiful book. And this book starts with the mother telling her children about a heartfelt story about their father's journey. And that sort of reminds me of like that image of the mother telling her children a story reminds me of you telling your children stories. And I just thought that was a really nice parallel. And then the mother is telling her children about the story of their father's immigration experience and starting from when he was a kid. And so what was the inspiration behind this story specifically, and more specifically, what was the inspiration behind the father's immigration story?
Yeah, so when I thought of this as a potential book, again, I didn't know if it was something that I could do, but I thought, this could be a story that I could write down for my kids, something that I knew I wanted to tell my kids about, their father's immigration story, their heritage, and then just like the different lessons and things that I wanted to pass on to them. So it actually started as sort of a love letter to them, where I just wrote it, like I wrote probably 3/4 of it. And, at that time, I still struggle with writing endings, even though I know a little bit about writing books at this point. But I wrote it as a letter and then thought, is this something that could actually become a book?
Right.
And that's when I started really diving into taking classes and things like that and developing the story more concretely into a picture book format.
Mm-hmm.
I know that I was questioned at some point, like, why is the mother telling the story and not the father, right?
Right.
And I'm like, well, that's a good point. But at the same time, I think a lot of women are storytellers and perhaps they aren't recognized within their own families. So that was kind of my argument. Like, why can't the mom tell the
Yeah,
story?
exactly.
Um, she's a creative in the family, and I feel like I'm creative as well. So
Yeah,
the story really reflects our own family history and our family story.
that's incredible. I mean, I had seen the parallels before, but I didn't know
Hmm.
that there was just these parallels throughout the story, and I just love that, and I love it, especially when authors like grab from and use their own personal experiences in their stories. I always feel like that gives the story its like own unique sort of magic, and I
Yeah,
really love that. And I feel like that Not Far From Here really does that so well.
thank
And
you.
another thing I really love about this book is that it's unspecified where the father comes
Mm,
from, because besides from not far from here, but here is unspecified. That could be anywhere around the
mm-hmm,
world. And I feel like that makes the story a bit more of a general story that anyone that can resonate with Latina readers and even just readers with immigration in their family in
mm-hmm.
general. And was that the intention?
Yes. So by incorporating the Spanish, of course, that made it, Latine focused.
Right.
And so you could draw that parallel to the story. But I also wanted it to be more general, as you say, where, communities from different cultures it could connect with the story and readers can kind of fill in the blank
Yeah.
of where here is or where their family's origins are coming from. So yeah, it was intentional to kind of leave that open.
Yeah, and you mentioned the Spanish phrases, and I feel like adding the Spanish phrases really makes it like Spanglish, which
Hmm.
I love it when books include other languages. It has like a special place in my heart. And what prompted you to do so? And I feel like we sort of talked about this earlier, but I'd love to give
Hmm.
you just the space to sort of go in depth on this
Sure.
subject.
So yeah, in our household we speak in Spanglish.
Yeah. That's
It's
awesome.
yeah, it's a daily thing. I Even though I'm first gen Latina, I went to school here, and so
Hmm.
that's kind of in my brain all the time. The
Right.
Spanish that I grew up with, and then the English that I was raised, and exposed to here, living in the U.S. and California specifically.
Right.
So it's just the way we speak at home, and like as you said, we touched on that a little bit before. It was important to include Spanglish because when I was a kid, I was taught that Spanglish is kind of ruining, air
Oh my
quotes,
gosh.
ruining the Spanish language. It's not proper. It's not the proper way to speak.
Right.
And so, right now I feel like there is this movement where everyone is trying to reclaim their heritage language, whatever language that may be. But
Yeah.
it's okay to speak in Spanglish or whatever your two languages are spoken in your home. It's okay to have that multilingual identity. It's okay for it to be in process of growing and developing. Language is so fluid that sometimes we command one language better than another, and that is okay. It's okay to have both those languages coexist side by side.
Definitely. And I think part of the reason why that resonates with me so much, and I'm sure it resonates with other multilingual readers, is that because we see ourselves and in that book, we see ourselves because that the truth is that's really how a lot of multilingual speakers that's how they speak in real life. They don't just I mean, usually they have a dominant language
Hmm.
or usually it's like a fusion. And I think that that's really special. And just speaking on that subject, how did you decide where to place the Spanish words and where did you decide to put them?
So it was mostly intuitive.
Mm-hmm.
I think I can think of one spot where I had to change them just because they were a little bit sophisticated for
Right.
the picture book
Mm-hmm.
reader. But yeah, it was just kind of intuitive, and where it would just kind of flow, naturally.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
definitely something I noticed in the book. It felt very natural. Like
Hmm.
it wasn't like English, English, English. Oh my gosh, wait, that's Spanish. That's
Yeah.
so weird. It felt like, oh yeah, this is a part of the story. This is crucial to the story. The story would feel
Hmm.
incomplete without it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So why don't we dive into your next children's book, Frida Kahlo's Flower Crown, and it's a beautifully written biography about Frida Kahlo, and that emphasizes her growth and resilience. And throughout the book, I found that there's like a motif of plants and
Hmm.
flowers, just and growth, and I feel like that's really special because a lot of times biographies about Frida Kahlo really just take a bit more of a historical tone, but I really love that this book just took on this like beautiful tone and it has this beautiful cover with flowers and animals, and I just think that's so unique. And how does the motif of these plants and growth and animals relate to Frida's experience, and what was it like to use that motif throughout the story?
Yeah, so I think being that there are so many books on Frida
Yeah.
Kahlo, right, for both children and adults, I had to find a fresh take on
Mm-hmm.
how to approach someone who's been written about and documented so much. So weaving in that theme of the flowers and the plants and growth was kind of critical to the
Yeah,
story so that it would set itself apart from everything else that's out
definitely.
there. So I definitely became a pro at finding all the flower metaphors
Yeah,
and,
totally.
plant metaphors. They were like, you need a little more on this page. So I'm like, okay, let me, go back and just really, really weave, pull that thread all the way through, right from beginning to end,
Yeah.
so that it would really kind of bring the story to life. I mean, her story is definitely one about, growth and resilience, as you mentioned. She went through so much personally, health wise. So I think her story really is one where she, as the book begins, she sprouted from the earth and just went on this journey of constantly battling different challenges through her life, but pushed through, and allowed her art and her passion for her personal identity and the way she would present herself, how she beautified herself with her
Yes.
crown and
Her flower crown.
yes, her flower crown, and was just so connected to nature and
Mm-hmm.
used that as a source of inspiration through her life.
On the very first page of the book, there's an activity sheet where readers can look through, and it's almost like a scavenger hunt where they can try to find the plants that are pictured throughout the book. Whose idea was that, and how do you think it contributed to the story?
Okay, yes. So when I was writing the book, it was one of the ideas I had to be able to add another layer to the book, so that it would be different from all the other books that are already out there about
Right.
her. And kids and adults could learn about the various native plants that grew in her garden, the flowers that she included in her
Mm-hmm.
artwork. So it's raises awareness for children to know that it's also important to protect native plants.
Absolutely.
Yes, and they can start figuring out which plants and flowers might be native to their area and perhaps, plant them in their garden. So one, aspect of it was, make it so that it's fun and interactive
Yeah.
and kids can learn all sorts of new plants. And then the other aspect was for them to be aware that certain plants need protection, otherwise they disappear from our planet.
I think that's such a great way to kill two birds with one stone. It's so unique, and it really just made the book a stand out. Reading through it, I was just like, oh, I saw this plant on the
Mm-hmm.
activity sheet, and it was just it was so much fun, and it was such a cool way to learn about all the different plants. And that's just another thing I really just love about your books. I feel like all of your books have been so creative and so thoughtful and so meticulously crafted, and it's just such a treat to be able to read through them.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. And I'm wondering, did you do, I mean, I'm sure you did, but did you do any research for this book? What was it like? What sites and what sources would you recommend for readers who are interested in this topic?
Yes, so Frida is a person, again, who's been, thoroughly documented throughout history. So with her, it was fairly easy to
Yeah,
research her.
right.
The idea came about actually during COVID,
Ooh.
which was sort of a blessing because that opened up, the
Yeah,
virtual world to be able to take classes and
totally.
things online. And La Casa Azul, the Blue House, where the museum is, they had a lot of webinars that were going on
Oh,
during that
cool.
time. So I was able to take advantage of that. And they even have, a virtual tour of the whole museum. So it really feels like you're immersed and you're
That's
in there.
awesome.
So, yeah, it was just a matter of really going back and looking through a lot of photos, her artwork, identifying those flowers that she included. So yeah, became a teeny bit of a botanist, not really, but learned myself. I learned a lot
Yeah.
about the different plants and flowers that were in her garden and her artwork and native to Mexico.
having virtual tours sounds like so much fun. Like,
Yeah.
what was that like? I don't think I've done virtual tours of an area before.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. I mean, the way that they have it set up, it feels like you're actually walking through, her home, and
Whoa.
you can turn as you're turning
Yeah.
the camera. It feels
That's
like you're turning
awesome.
within the space, so that's pretty neat as well. I do want to mention as well. I'll mention the illustrator for Frida, which
Yeah, of
she did an
course.
amazing job, Loris Lora, and she did obviously her own research as far as being able to illustrate all of the plants and flowers within the book, as well as Frida's story.
Whoa. I mean, you think that a children's picture book would be easy to do, but no, it takes a village of people to do, and
Yes,
everybody has to contribute their part, and that's just so
absolutely.
cool that everybody just sort of comes together and makes this beautiful product.
Yes, that's something that I think I thought when I first started. I didn't realize the community aspect of writing, because it is a solitary act, when you're just wherever you are in your home, in your office, writing. But there's so many other people who touch the story, whether
Yeah.
it's your critique partners, your agent
Yeah.
eventually, your editor, and it goes through so many iterations before it finally becomes, this beautiful book that is you're able to hold in your hands and read. So
It reminds me of a bit like a kitchen, like everybody is sort of just adding their own little touch to the recipe, and then you have this beautiful dish, you have this beautiful
yes,
meal.
that's a lovely analogy. Yeah.
So I'd love to ask, what were some of the similarities and differences between Frida Kahlo's Flower Crown and Not Far From Here, both in like the process and just in general?
Yeah, so with Not Far From Here, because it is more memoir based,
Mm-hmm.
that was really up to, my memories, my husband's memories, asking him about, his childhood a little bit, and just recording what it is that I really wanted to pass on to our kids, right? Not only their origin story, but the future, like what I want them to look forward to in the future about writing their own story, and knowing that they're going to encounter challenges and barriers, and um, so it was different in that sense. And then, of course, writing a biography, because it's also a narrative biography, it was important to me to stay really true to her story while
Right.
still providing, that narrative voice, and making it interesting and fun for
Yeah.
kids to see her story in a different way. So definitely have to be, more stuck to the facts.
Right.
There was a lot of research behind all the plants and flowers, so that was challenging to have everything, just right, and make sure
Yeah.
we had spelling and, everything
Exactly.
identified the way that it
Right.
should be. So it
Totally.
was more meticulous, and again, there was really help from the editorial team, and, fact checkers and things like that, who really helped make the story get to that, quote unquote perfect place.
I'm guessing it was a similar process, just the same differences between developing original characters versus developing Frida as a character and as a person in the story.
I mean, since I see this story so much as my family,
Right.
I don't know how original they are.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, it was definitely a different process. But both were learning projects. I learned different things with each project. And that's what I love about writing picture books, is that each project is so different. You're writing a picture book,
Yeah.
but each one is just completely different from another, and there are different challenges within each one. And I think you think like, oh, the next one will be easy, but it's not, because it has its whole,
Yeah.
new set of challenges.
A lot of people don't realize that about writing. A lot of people think, oh, well, you just write words on a
Mm,
page, and then once you have practice with it, like you'll be able to like pump out like 50 pages in a second. And
yeah.
that's like, no, it's not true. Every piece is
Hmm.
unique, and every piece has its own learning curve and learning journey, and each piece will help you improve, but it's never going to be easy.
Exactly. Yep. Absolutely.
Something I noticed in the Frida Kahlo biography is that Diego Rivera, who was Frida Kahlo's late husband, was not mentioned. And I'm wondering, why did you choose not to mention him? Does it have something to do with the fact that you wanted to take like a new lens on the story, on her story?
Yeah. So I think it's so interesting that you asked this question, because I've been waiting for someone to ask it, and believe it or not, you're the first one
Really?
to ask since this whole idea, became a reality. Yes, you're the first person.
Wow.
So great question.
Thank
And
you.
Let's see. So I didn't even think to like mention him honestly in the story. I mean,
Yeah.
partly because there was like this micro lens on
Yeah.
her and her relation to nature and
Mhm.
flowers, right? And her painting and everything. So I I I didn't when I wrote it, it's not like he was there and I took him out or anything
Right.
like that. It's just, it's the way I wrote it. He wasn't really a part of it in that sense. And for so long, of course, she's associated, with him and
Yeah.
that, her talent is attributed to him. And, her talents, as we know, can stand on her own. And she was just this amazing, interesting figure and, will probably still be a mystery to so many of us.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was mainly because there was this focus on her and her relationship
Yeah.
to plants and nature and how that manifests in her appearance. So
Right.
yeah, I chose to omit him. Sorry, Diego.
It was definitely refreshing because I found that a lot of biographies I read would be like, well, they married and divorced and married again, and
Sure.
they made it like a huge part about her story. And it's
Mhm.
even though that's a crucial part of her experience, it's not the
Absolutely.
whole thing. And she
Yeah.
has her own story outside of her husband and this figure in her life.
Yeah, and other books had already done it, so I'm like,
Yeah.
well, why am I going to cover, that kind of same thing
Exactly.
again? So
Yeah, that's great. And you also translated this book, Frida Kahlo's Flower Crown, into Spanish, Frida Kahlo y su corona de flores, which
Sí, muy
came
bien.
out recently. Oh, thank you. And you translated this book yourself, right?
Yes, I did.
Oh my gosh, that's incredible. What was that process like? And what were some of the challenges and new things that you learned in this process?
Yeah, so it was a little bit scary because it's my first time translating
Yeah.
professionally.
Totally.
I was a translator my whole life, as are many kids who
Right.
have parents who speak another language. So I was used to that, but that, translating something orally is a lot different than, doing it via writing. So what's interesting to me is it felt like a whole new book because obviously it's a whole new language. So it was finding different ways to say things in a beautiful and lyrical way.
Mhm.
So it really made me think a lot. And especially since I had to pull the flower metaphor throughout,
Yeah.
that was like another challenge. But I thought it was really interesting. I'm really proud of the way that Frida Kahlo y su corona de flores came out. And can't wait for Mexico, obviously, to receive it, right? Her
Yeah.
native country, and then all the other Spanish speaking communities who welcome more stories about Frida.
I definitely agree with you that translating orally versus translating in writing is so different.
Mm.
I remember there was a period of time where I wanted to translate a Chinese book into English, but it was just so hard because you would think it'd be easy, just write it how you would
Sure.
speak it. But the truth is, I feel like in every language there are grammatical nuances that are not there when you speak versus are there when you write.
Yes, yes. And I had, obviously the help from a Spanish editor
Mm-hmm.
who helped with Frida Kahlo y su corona de flores. So her help was definitely integral, as well as the team who, go through copy editing and grammar and everything to make sure that, everything was perfect. So definitely had help. Didn't do it on my own, once again. But yeah, it was an amazing experience.
I wanted to take a moment to congratulate you on your upcoming books, including The Women Before Us and Vroom Vroom Vamonos. And so I know they're still a little under wraps, but I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit more about each book, what they're about, the process, etc.
Okay, sure. So The Women Before Us, Weaving Stories in My Huipil, is a picture book that comes out next year. It highlights the art of textile weaving, specifically with the backstrap loom.
Wow.
And it follows the main character, who's a young girl, and she wears her different huipils. A huipil is a top woven and worn by Mayan women, and explores some of the symbols, the woven symbols behind the huipil that she wears, and then the women that surround her, their huipils, and the possible meaning behind the motifs that they wear. So it's set in Guatemala. That's part of my heritage. So
That's awesome.
I really wanted a book that connects with that heritage. I found out recently, although I don't know much about her, that my great great grandma was at least part Mayan, if not full
Wow.
Mayan. So it's a little homage to her and my heritage.
That's incredible.
And then the second title you mentioned, Vroom Vroom Vamonos, from School Bus to Chicken Bus, that's also set in Guatemala. And it follows a retired school bus who is purchased and taken to Guatemala and
Mhm.
recycled as a passenger bus. So the POV is from the bus, and it follows his journey from California all the way to Guatemala,
Wow.
and how he starts his new life there, picking up passengers and a chicken or two.
That's awesome. That sounds like so much fun. And I love books that take on the perspective of a unique person or even unique character. I feel like that's just so cool. And it's so fun to put yourself in their shoes and just think, oh, how would a bus view the world? How would,
Yeah.
yeah. How do the illustrations of each of your books shape and contribute to the story?
Yeah, I think for picture books, they completely add another dimension to the
Mm-hmm.
story. Obviously, this age range is, anywhere from like 4 to 8 years old, although a lot of picture books today, you can be read and enjoyed even by older kids as well as
Mm-hmm.
adults. But they add, this layer where kids who are pre-literate, can narrate the story,
Yeah.
right, based on what's happening on the pages. So I think that's where picture books are so powerful because they enable the youngest of readers to follow along and create their own stories within.
That's one thing I really loved about picture books, especially as a younger person, because when I was little, I didn't necessarily understand all the words on a picture book, but I was able to take away my own message and my own sort of personalized moral of the story per
Mhm.
se. I feel like that was definitely the case with your books. I was when I was reading them, I would sort of imagine myself as like a younger version of myself, and I feel like I'm a very artistic person, so I felt
Mhm.
like I was really able to I felt like a part of me was really able to like just be so happy with the images because they were so vibrant and colorful and beautiful and contributed so much to the story, as you said.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask which book was the most fun to write and what part of it was the most challenging?
Ooh, that's a hard one. I guess I would say Frida only because she's someone that I looked up to ever since
Right.
I was little. She was Latine, she spoke Spanish, she was creative, and I was, some of those things.
I bet you're all of
I
them. You are
wanted,
very
yeah, I
creative.
wanted to be an artist. I was Latine. I am Latine. So yeah, I've always kind of had her in my mind as this person that I looked up to. So it was amazing to be able to write a book on her after I had read so many and seen so much of her artwork as a kid. So I think it was fun and a very prideful moment.
That's awesome. And I'm wondering, would you ever write books outside of the children's book world or children's literature, and why or why not?
Yeah, I mean that's funny. Like I'll talk to people who write, chapter books or YA, and they say like I could never write a picture book because you say so much and let's say 350
Yeah.
words, and I feel the same. I could never, write something that was like 300 pages long. I don't know if I'd have that much to say, but never say never. But as of right now, I'm happy writing picture books.
What are some of the challenges with writing children's picture books?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the thing, right? Is like saying so many things in very few words, right? In 32 pages,
Mm-hmm.
being able to convey a message, but having the reader stay with you from beginning, middle to end, and hopefully having them connect in some way to what you've written, I think is probably the most challenging.
Yeah. And you've said before throughout this interview that you are a visual artist. Has that shaped and impacted the way you write as well? Or
I think so. I think it helps me sort of envision, what's happening on the page and the transitions. Um, and hopefully I'll illustrate a book someday. I'm not counting that out. I just feel like I need to develop that side of my
yeah,
craft more
totally.
because I did leave it alone for so many
Yeah.
years. But something that can be worked on, and hopefully one day I can do both. But I'm super happy with what both my illustrators, Devin Holsworth and Loris Lora, have done on these two projects,
Yeah.
and I couldn't have done a better job myself, so I'm super happy that we were paired.
Yeah, totally. If you don't mind me asking, what are some of the things that you like to draw and to develop visually?
I mean, I haven't done it in so long, but I think I'm more of like an abstract
Ooh,
type artist. Portraits were always super hard for me.
yeah,
So yeah, anything realistic was like super challenging, but
I get
I
that.
I
Yeah.
got like a lot of abstract things like collaging,
Ooh,
um anything sort of crafty. My daughter and I like to do a lot of little crafty things
that's
together.
awesome. That's so sweet. In your bio, you mention that your storytelling has been influenced by your Guatemalan and your Basque roots, and you've talked a little bit about how that influences your work throughout this interview. But I wanted to give you the space to really answer how has that like influenced and impacted your work as a storyteller.
Yeah, I think I'll probably always write books that in some way highlight the Latine experience, because we are poorly represented. That's the reality that is the reality today. So it's important to me that kids today, like my kids and other kids, see themselves in books. I never
100%.
read a book where I saw a Latine family, where I read about someone speaking in Spanish. Like that was not available to me, nor was it, for my parent, much less for my parents,
Yeah,
right? So it's really important that we keep telling those stories, and everyone's story is different. A Latine person from Guatemala, their story or their point of view is going to be completely different than someone from Cuba, and so we need all of
100%.
those stories to infiltrate children's publishing and be readily available for everyone.
That's such a beautiful message. And going in that same vein, what do you hope your audience takes away from your work?
I hope that they feel something when
Mm,
they read my books, whatever that feeling is. If it moves them, if they shed a tear, if they find something funny, if they find something beautiful, I just hope they connect in some way and they leave with some type of feeling that feels good inside. Obviously, um, you want people to take that away after you've spent so much time, you yourself, and again, the community of people that have touched the book. Um, you would like them to take something away from the book. So hopefully it's a positive feeling.
I love that. And definitely feel like I took that away from
Oh,
all of the books. And I'm so excited to read the upcoming books as well, because I definitely felt something in both Frida Kahlo's Flower Crown and Not Far From Here.
thank you. That's amazing.
Yeah, of course. So now we got to go into the fun part of the interview, which is the lightning round questions. it's it's super fun, and there's not that many serious
Okay.
questions. It's like mostly just a quick question and a quick answer. So, are you ready?
Ready as I'll ever be.
Awesome. Three, two, one. What is the first concert you ever attended, if any?
Oh my gosh. I think I went to a concert by a Spanish band called
Ooh,
Manu Chao. It was
cool.
actually here in LA,
Oh, wow.
and that's the only concert I've ever been to.
That's so fun.
Yeah.
What was it like? Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, oh, I love their music. It was in kind of a strange space because I imagined it as, like you imagine like the stadium seating where you're
Yeah.
sitting like very formally and maybe you can stand up and sing and dance, but this was like a warehouse space, so there were no chairs and everyone was
Oh.
just standing around just kind of watching them sort of up close. So it was yeah, a different experience but awesome because I love their music. I probably haven't listened to that CD, which, some of you kids may not know about. But I haven't listened to their music in quite a while, but
That's awesome. I think the very first concert I went to was the Beyonce Renaissance World Tour. It was
wow.
so much fun. I think my one of my dad's business partners and friends had tickets, and he
Hmm.
invited me and him to go with him and his daughter, and it was just a sort of a fun experience because we were all just vibing and laughing and
Yeah.
dancing and having a great time. And I think
Wow.
I've only been to one other concert beside that, but it's definitely like a super fun experience in my opinion, but it's so tiring and it kind of like
Mm,
wipes you out for the rest of the week because you're
I
still like
bet.
recovering from all the singing and dancing and yeah.
How fun. I'm jealous.
It was definitely a really fun experience. And this is a really weird question, but do you think rats are cute?
No, I do not. I
Really?
do not think rats are cute.
What if, but they're like with their little
No,
paws
a
and their
little
tail.
mouse.
Yeah, okay,
Yes.
I get I get that. I think, but rats, I get that because they're like big and they're scary.
Yeah, they're too large.
I I like hamsters better. I think
Okay.
that they're like smaller and
Hamsters are cute. Guinea
fluffier.
pigs are cute too.
I actually think guinea pigs aren't as cute as hamsters, like because they screech and they scratch.
Oh,
So
see, I think they're cute because they're really fat. They come in like all these cute little colors.
yeah, I get that. What is your least favorite word?
Probably poop.
It's a very ugly word.
Yes.
I think
And
mine.
smelly.
Yeah, it sounds exactly like what it means.
Mm-hmm.
My least favorite word is moist.
Oh, okay. I've heard
Like,
that before.
I feel like a lot of my friends and I can agree on this, but I like moist in the context of cake. Like the cake was moist.
Of course.
But even still, like that still sounds like weird. Like why is the cake wet?
Well, it kind of goes with the sound. No, moist. Like
yeah,
wet.
it's like there's like a humidity to the word that
Yes.
I don't like. Are you more of a chocolate person or a caramel person?
Chocolate, hands down.
I
Yep.
can't choose, but
Really?
I love caramel. I love like a chocolate and caramel,
Okay.
like Milky Ways, Twix.
Dulce de leche?
Yes, I
Yeah.
love dulce de leche.
Okay.
But I think my heart is with chocolate as well. I just think it's so rich and sweet and delicious.
Yeah. Yeah, I could live on chocolate.
Couldn't we all? Are you more of an introvert or more of an extrovert?
Definitely an introvert. Yes, I have to kind of force myself to be a little more outgoing, especially now that, I'm going and doing
Right.
school visits and book festivals and
Yeah.
things like that. It's a little bit harder to just be relaxed and put yourself out there.
I get that, yeah. I'm more of an ambivert, so it's less of a
okay.
challenge for me, but sometimes, especially with newer people, I get like a little bit into this shell, and my mom's always like, "Where's the shell coming from? You're crazy at home." Do you like sour candy?
No, I'm more of a sweet. I'm a sweet lady.
I get that.
Yeah.
I like lemonade and I like Sour Patch Kids, but I think when I want sweets, like I want sweets.
Okay. Yeah, I like lemonade too.
Yeah,
I can do
lemonade's
lemonade.
nice.
Yeah.
What is your opinion on decorative pillows?
I think one is enough. I have
That
one
is-
on my bed right now because just taking them all off and then
Yeah.
putting them all back, that's just a lot of work.
Yeah.
Even though I think they're pretty and like if you want 10 of them, more power to you, but I'm good with one. Yeah.
Yeah,
What
I
about you?
have a couple of decorative pillows on my bed, and it's like I have to throw them on the floor every
Mhm.
night, and it's just like that doesn't feel good because it's like you're throwing pillows
Yeah.
on the
It's
floor.
pretty though, because if
It's
you have
pretty.
like a theme going
Yeah.
on, then,
It's definitely good in some cases. It's like it's nice in pictures, but less nice in real life.
Exactly. in practice.
Do you have a favorite flower?
Yes, dahlias.
Ooh,
I
those are
love
beautiful.
dahlias. Yeah, and they come in so many colors. Really pretty.
I love a good like black dahlia. I think those are so
Ooh.
beautiful and like powerful.
Is it like the kind of a burgundy,
yeah, like the
blackish color?
burgundy blackish color. I
Yeah.
think those are gorgeous.
nice, yeah.
I think my favorite flowers are I have two. I always say hibiscus or hydrangea.
Oh,
Just because
yes.
I love like the vivid hues of the hibiscus, but I
Mhm.
also love like the softness and cuteness of the hydrangea as
Yeah.
well. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw when we were traveling last year in Spain, as a matter of fact, a hydrangea, I guess a bush, but it was like taller than my dad. It was I had never seen
Wow.
that before, and it was in full bloom. It was so beautiful.
I'm jealous. I'm jealous. Are you more of a runner or a swimmer?
Neither. I'm a walker.
That you know what? More power
Yeah,
to you.
I'd like
I
to
love
get
that.
into running, but yeah, I'm a walker. I
Yeah.
like my daily walks in the morning, get my
Mm.
vitamin D,
Yep.
listen to nature, practice my mindfulness.
Yeah.
Yeah, set the day.
I'm a swimmer at heart. Like I love the water. I could spend like hours and hours in
But
the
you're a
water
good
if I
swimmer,
didn't.
probably.
Yeah, I love swimming.
Yeah.
I've been swimming since I was like 1 or 2. And
Oh, wow.
yeah, it's been. And I could stay in the water until like my entire body's like
Oh, gosh.
pruned. But I do wish I could get more into running just because it seems like I'm so jealous of the people that can like run and just
Yes.
have a good time and get
Or do like a
runner's high.
marathon
Yeah,
or something.
exactly.
Yeah.
I would love to do a marathon. I mean, not really.
Take the medal. Let
Yeah,
someone else do the
exactly.
marathon.
Exactly. And the last question for the lightning round is, what advice would you give to your younger self?
To not listen when someone discourages you from something.
That's a good
Yeah,
one.
just kind of follow through. And if someone does, talk to someone about it, talk to a friend and say like, "Hey, this happened to me," because that friend will probably cheer you on and maybe that'll help you push forward. Yeah.
100%. I mean, if I let every single person who discouraged me from doing something like get to me, like I probably would just at home all day
Right.
and just be a
Yeah.
couch potato. But it's hard. It's really
Mhm.
hard, especially because you want people to love your work, but it's hard.
Yeah.
But I definitely applaud you and your efforts,
Thank you.
and I hope that one day I'll be able to see a book on the shelf that's written and illustrated by
Ooh,
you.
that'd be amazing. Yeah. Thank you.
Before we wrap up, I wanted to ask if there was like an organization or a particular cause that's near and dear to your heart. As you may know, Stories Without Borders is an organization that believes in the power of stories and service, and we want to use those two powers to positively impact the world. And we love to amplify anything that you care about.
Yes, and congratulations on your amazing work with
Thank you
Stories
so
Without
much.
Borders. We need more young people like you.
Thank you, definitely.
I think Pen America is a really good one now. Very timely with the banning of books.
Right.
They are defenders of writing, reading, and creative spirits. So go to Pen America and donate to their cause.
That's amazing. We'll do. And everybody who's listening, please check out Pen America. I think that it's such a cool organization, and it's again really timely. And especially with books being banned, we need more people to step up and to advocate. So any work that they do, please support in some way. Thank you so much for coming onto the podcast, Nydia. I had a lot of fun interviewing you and learning more about all of your work, and I had just a blast.
Thank you, Holland. It was a pleasure joining you today, and I appreciate you amplifying writers and their stories.
Thanks for listening to Stories Without Borders, the podcast. Please rate and review the show on your favorite podcast platform. You can learn more online at storieswithoutborders.org or follow us on Instagram at stories_without-borders. And if you like watching your podcasts, subscribe to our YouTube channel at stories_without-borders. Stories Without Borders, the podcast, is written, hosted, and produced by me, Holland Alpert. I also wrote and performed the theme music. Nydia Armendia is our sound engineer, audio editor, and videographer. Kennedy Hibbert is our video editor. Thanks to Liberty Yanaga and Langston Williams for production support. See you all next time!